Cathie Wood. When you think about someone who makes crazy predictions in the market, which later turn out to come true, Cathie Wood is the first person who comes to mind. When Tesla was valued at $200 a share, she predicted that it would go to $4,000 in 5 years. She was wrong. It only took 2 years. She's also been bullish on Bitcoin well before the public took an interest. So Cathie Wood has a reputation of making these pretty bold predictions. At the time, most people think she sounds crazy, but over time she has been proven right again and again. So recently, she shared her thoughts on a scenario which could lead to Bitcoin reaching $500,000. And funnily enough, as I was preparing to record this exact video, news has just broken that Tesla have invested $1.5 billion of their cash into Bitcoin. Let's just say that's very relevant to what we're going to be talking about in this video. Because in this video, we're going to be taking a look at Elon Musk's Tesla investing in Bitcoin. We're going to be talking about why Cathie Wood thinks a $500,000 Bitcoin is possible. And importantly, we're going to answer the question that everyone wants to know. Is it too late to buy Bitcoin today? Hi and welcome back. My name is Tom Heavey. I hope you're doing well. Let's get into it. But first, if you live in the US, Webull are currently offering this crazy deal right now. Open an account with them and you'll receive 2 free stocks worth between $5 and $500. Deposit $100 into your account and you'll receive another 2 free stocks, this time worth between $16 and $3,200. So in total, that's 4 free stocks worth a minimum of $21 and a maximum of $3,700. All you have to do to claim your 4 free stocks is use the link in the description below. Just quickly, I am not a financial advisor, nor is this financial advice. Do your own due diligence and make your own decisions. Right, so let's get straight into it. And I'm not gonna make you wait until the end of the video either. Let's just hand it straight over to Cathie.
We are seeing corporations, we didn't expect this. We expected institutional interest, but we didn't expect corporations to substitute Bitcoin for cash. MicroStrategy was the first. All of its cash is now in Bitcoin. And in fact, it did an offering so that it could buy more Bitcoin. Square has put 5% of its assets into Bitcoin. And we're seeing more mature companies like PayPal enabling the buying and selling of Bitcoin on its platform, as Cash App does as well. Well, if companies in the S&P 500 were to put 1% of their cash into Bitcoin, that would increase the price of Bitcoin by $40,000. Today, it's close to $30,000. So that's more than a double right there. If we saw 10%, of course, that would add $400,000. And I just told you, MicroStrategy has put all of its cash in. Perhaps emerging markets will be faster in terms of adoption. But we have been very surprised at how quickly this has happened in the United States.
Okay, so like I said, I had this video planned out. And then Elon Musk just announced that Tesla has bought $1.5 billion worth of Bitcoin. Tesla said, in January 2021, we updated our investment policy to provide us with more flexibility to further diversify and maximize returns on our cash. On top of that, Tesla also expects to begin accepting Bitcoin as a form of payment for its products in the near future. So for those of you who have been following closely, Michael Saylor of MicroStrategy and Elon Musk, of course, of Tesla, were recently talking about buying Bitcoin on Twitter. So it's fair to say many of us thought this was only a matter of time, but nobody thought it would happen this soon. But what's really crazy is that it's not just Tesla either. Over the course of 2020, MicroStrategy, a publicly traded company in the US, they invested all of their cash into Bitcoin. Square invested 5% of their assets into Bitcoin. MassMutual, a life insurance company, invested $100 million. Guggenheim's CIO said Bitcoin could hit $400,000 per coin. Fidelity's chief investment officer described how Bitcoin could replace gold. Here's that clip.
So, Andrew, I mean, I think, listen, I think cryptocurrency is here to stay. And I think it is a durable, and you've seen the central banks that have talked about digital currencies. I think digital currency and the receptivity, particularly millennials' receptivity of technology and cryptocurrency is real. Digital payment systems is real. So I think Bitcoin is here to stay. I think, am I a Bitcoin bull? I mean, I don't do a lot of it or virtually any of it in my portfolios, my corporate portfolios, my business portfolios. But do I think it is probably, it's hard to say, is it worth the price it's trading at today? But do I think it's a durable mechanism that do I think will take the place of gold to a large extent? Yeah, I do, because it's so much more functional than passing a bar of gold around.
When it comes to Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, I don't think there is a more confusing topic in the world to understand. And it's really made even more difficult by the fact that people have such opposing opinions. However, what we're now beginning to see is that institutions are warming up to Bitcoin. And this is the reason why.
Institutions are going to have a significant impact on Bitcoin's price. We're seeing all kinds of evidence today. I just gave you some about corporate cash, but we have the OCC. Last July, they allowed custody banks to federally chartered banks to custody Bitcoin. And just within the last month, they have allowed banks to actually become nodes on any public blockchain so that they can enable much less expensive and efficient settlement. So that is again a little faster than we would have expected. We've seen Fidelity, the infrastructure has certainly been moving into place for a while. Fidelity, the Intercontinental ICE, the Intercontinental Exchange, the CME, and Cambridge, the consultant wrote a paper about, it was a little more than a year ago, basically telling institutions, hey, this could be a new asset class. And it has a very low correlation. In fact, it has the lowest correlation if you compare Bitcoin with all the other major asset classes out there. It has the lowest correlations of any other combination. So we believe that here you can see that if our analysis on how institutions will look at allocating to this space is correct, and this is using a Monte Carlo simulation, institutional involvement could increase the price of Bitcoin. Again, it's 30,000 now, by 200,000 if they want to minimize volatility, to 500,000 if they want to maximize their Sharpe ratios.
So institutional investors all around the world are competing with each other to find an investment which gives them an edge in the market. Basically, they're looking for an investment which either offers them higher returns or greater diversification. And I say the word or because it's virtually impossible to find any investment which offers both of those two things. Well, Bitcoin is that rare investment which offers both. With an average annual return of 300% since 2011, it has a high expected return. And remarkably, Bitcoin has actually been the highest performing asset class 10 of the last 12 years. So the high returns have been more consistent than most people generally think too, with its correlation to most traditional asset classes being between 0.25 and 0.3, it has much lower correlations than the standard value of over 0.7. As a result, Bitcoin offers greater diversification than other investments too. So without wanting to get too technical here, basically this goes back to what I've talked about for years on this channel. Institutional investors won't buy Bitcoin just because they believe in it. They're beginning to buy it today because it would mathematically be a mistake to not invest at least, say, 1% into it. Again, it's not about belief, it's about the maths based on those two factors: high returns and greater diversification. This all relates to something called modern portfolio theory, which is very commonly used by institutional investors. But at the same time though, having said all of this, there is still the obvious question to answer. Is it too late to buy Bitcoin today? Has the opportunity already passed, or is it still early today? Let's hand it back over to Cathie.
Got a lot of fans in the crypto space. I want to know what you think here. And of course, Bitcoin, some people think, look, it's already hit its highs for 2021, the high water mark of above 40,000. What's ARK's thinking here?
We do not agree with that. And what's been interesting this time around is if you look at Google search trends for Bitcoin or Bitcoin's price against the Bitcoin price itself, you'll find that there's not a lot of speculative activity by that measure. In fact, in 2017, they were 1 for 1 together, but it has been pretty quiescent until maybe very recently, but throughout last year. And so that gave us a lot of comfort.
By the way, if you want to see 2 videos every week about investing in disruptive technology, make sure you're subscribed. Currently, only 23% of you watching these videos are subscribed. So let's see if we can bump up those numbers just a little bit.
We do believe that Bitcoin is getting ready for institutional, but when we actually think about this, is Bitcoin ready for institutions? Bitcoin is it's roughly a $600 billion market cap. So not even half the size of Apple or Amazon, right?
Yep.
Doesn't put it into perspective. And yet it is a very big idea. I think a much bigger idea than Apple or Amazon. It's the first truly global digital currency out there. And it is completely decentralized. There's no throat to choke. So unlike with Libra, you had Europe and the US and many countries saying, we'll never allow this. That's because there was one throat to choke. With Bitcoin, there's no throat to choke. And in fact, when China basically shut down the exchanges in China that dealt in crypto, especially Bitcoin, that activity just moved over to Japan, Thailand, and Korea, other countries that wanted to move ahead in this innovation space. They did not want to miss this next big thing.
So clearly Cathie believes that we're still early to Bitcoin. I mean, from an intuitive perspective, this makes sense too. I've talked about how institutions are beginning to invest in Bitcoin, and I've given a few examples. But these are only just a few institutions out of the thousands that could someday adopt it. So you could just make the simple point that we must still be early if even 10% of these institutions will someday adopt Bitcoin, but they haven't yet. At the same time, you could highlight Bitcoin's price chart for the past year and say that the past few months have been pretty unsustainable. Both are fair points. So here's how I see it. If you go back through Bitcoin's history, nearly all of the gains it's made over time have been during these bubble-like phases. There was a bubble in 2010, another in 2011, 2 more in 2013, and another in 2017. So when you ask the question, will there be a bubble in 2021 or 2022? I mean, yeah, based on history, it looks more than likely. If we use Bitcoin's stock to flow model, it will put the price at around $85,000 by the end of this year. If, however, the price exceeds the model by similar amounts to the past, then Bitcoin could be between $150,000 to $250,000 at the end of this year. After that, it's likely there will be a big crash and the price might drop sharply as it has done on so many occasions. So, a combination of promising and terrifying. However, if you just zoom out and you take any 5-year window of Bitcoin's history, it's beaten every other asset class, regardless of whether you bought at the bottom of the bear market or even the very top of the bubble. Back in 2010, people debated whether to buy at 5 cents or 10 cents. And I mean, today we laugh at that because who cares? They're both ridiculously cheap. In 2011, people debated whether to buy at $5 or $25, with $25 being right at the peak of the 2011 bubble. Again, looking back, both are just ridiculously cheap. And even the 2017 bubble, anyone who bought right at the peak of around $20,000 and held till today, they've still made over 2 times return, which is about 60% higher than the stock market in the same time. So when I look at the cycles that Bitcoin usually moves in, with the bubbles and the crashes, I think today we're around early to midway through this cycle. We're not at the beginning, nor are we close to the end. However, I also only think that matters if you're heavily invested in Bitcoin or cryptocurrency. If you're heavily invested, you might want to think about when to take some profits. But for everyone else though, the most basic principles are the best. Dollar cost averaging, holding for many years, and not investing too much. For most people just dipping their toes into the market, 1 to 2% is often an amount that you'd rather not lose it, right? But it's really not the end of the world either if you do. It would be great if Bitcoin could just move in a more steady way. If its 300% average annual return had been this consistent rise each and every year, people would definitely view it as a lot less risky than they do today. However, because of human psychology in the markets, that's never gonna happen. Bitcoin will probably continue to be volatile and have these cycles until it's matured as an asset. For me though, if I wait until the volatility has gone away and these cycles disappear, then I also think most of the opportunity has probably gone by that point too. That's why all I do is I just look at Bitcoin in these 5-year windows. And once you start doing that, all that matters is the starting price and the ending price. There might be some crazy swings in the meantime, but all that matters is the averages, the starting price, the ending price. And Bitcoin has consistently posted better averages over the past decade than any other asset class around. So that's how I see it. It's huge news with Tesla buying, but at the same time, I think it was only a matter of time anyway, and it doesn't really change anything for me in the long term. It's really just epic to actually see it finally happen. What do you think though? Do you think Bitcoin is headed higher or lower? Do you think it's huge news, or do you think it was always happening anyway? Let me know in the comments below. And it's totally fine if you disagree, because one of the great things about life is we can all have different opinions and still respect and appreciate hearing each other's views. Thank you for watching. I will see you again very soon.